Hello, beautiful friends. It is Wednesday, May 28th in the United States and Canada. I'm out for the season. And this is a show called What Chaos, presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code What Chaos. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. Prize Picks. Run your game in Boston, Massachusetts. My name is David Bean. I sit beside Pete Blackburn. And across the room is Sean DePaz. Hello, Pete.
Hello, David. How are you dealing with the news?
It's bittersweet. It's a mix of kind of everything. I'm processing it. I think that you'll see over the course of the next 60 to 90 minutes, me process it. I don't totally understand how I feel, but we talk through these things. It's why we go to therapy.
Sean, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Free Jeff Skinner. That's the most important thing to me. Whatever the cost.
That might be the worst part of it, that we're still not going to get Jeff Skinner somehow.
We fucking better. If we have sacrificed Zach Hyman, we better get a Jeff Skinner out of it.
Yeah, I know I did a lot of joking about how I was out on Chris Knobloch after the Bills comment last Stanley Cup. If somehow he finds a way to not play Jeff Skinner in these playoffs, now I am officially, no jokes, fully out on Chris Knobloch.
Okay, Pete, tell the folks on the show today.
Today on the show, we will discuss Man Down. Zach
Down.
Hyman. Huh?
Min down.
Min Down. Oh, Zach. Well, it depends on how you pronounce it. Because not Zach. Zach Hyman.
Oh,
Pete
yeah.
famously
Hyman.
calls him
Hyman.
Zach Hyman.
Hyman.
Zach Hyman.
Hyman.
My friend. Hi, man.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Zach Hyman is down. He is injured, likely out for the remainder of the playoffs. We will discuss the impact of that. Jeff to the rescue. There's no question mark there. That's interesting.
Did I not do a question mark? Let's see.
Nope.
I feel like there should be
not.
a question mark.
No, Jeff to the rescue, period.
Jeff to the rescue, period. I hope. Let's see some Jeff Skinner. Let Jeff play hockey. Owen Newkirk is going to join from DLLS. He's going to talk Stars, give us the Dallas point of view, because we know there's a particular man sitting to my right here who's likely very happy that the Edmonton Oilers have a 3-1 series lead or a 1 win away from returning to the Stanley Cup final. Dallas Stars fans,
Is he?
I would imagine, quite distraught. On the precipice of 3 straight years exiting in the Western Conference final. That's got to be a tough pill to swallow. And finally, is it Sturmschissen?
Sturmschissen?
Sturmschissen, huh? Sean, how is my... is that a German accent that I just did?
I don't know.
You did a 1940s gangster.
Oh,
You-
that's right. Yes.
The
Or
Shane
20s?
Gillis
Put the money
Spaceball.
in the bag,
Yes.
sir.
Oh, yeah, the Shane Gillis, like,
Yeah,
young colored boy from Brooklyn up now.
Robinson up the bat. No, oh, fuck.
Yes.
That's the best. He was so good that he just ended that voice. He knocked that voice right out of white people.
That's one of my favorite jokes.
The
All right, he'll
execution of
step
that.
in there against a 45-year-old alcoholic, the greatest athlete alive. Here's the pitch, and oh, fuck.
Unbelievable delivery. Yeah, Marco Sturm, maybe, quite possibly, the next coach of the Boston Bruins. We'll discuss that.
It seems he is, and
Depends who you talk to.
I don't know. I don't know anyone who has said, I don't think that's happening. I think that people are saying that's been said too early.
Yes.
So we aren't naming Marco Sturm the next coach of the Bruins, but we will discuss the Bruins coaching situation and the reporting dance that occurred on Wednesday night. But let's begin with the Edmonton Oilers taking a 3-1 series lead in the Western Conference Final at a major cost, possibly the biggest loss that a team has endured this postseason. If you don't know what Sam Reinhart's situation is, and you hope that Sam Reinhart isn't out for too long, he's questionable for Game 5. I do know that. So maybe, we're going to see Sam Reinhart again, we would think.
Mm-hmm.
It is very possible we are not going to see Zach Hyman again because he takes or in this postseason, because he takes a hit on the shoulder, arm-ish situation from Mason Marchment in the first period, does not return, does the thing. We've seen it before with players. They skate off the ice and it just kind of looks like they have one arm.
Yeah.
And the other one is just sort of along for the ride. I'm not a doctor. My first thought was shoulder subluxation.
Whoa, that's a big word.
It's like where I'm going to get this wrong, but I'm trying to remember back to my reporting days. It's basically like the arm kind of falls out.
Yeah.
Like
it's just shoulder separated.
It's a shoulder separation, and you can try to pop it back in, but that can only do so much.
Partial or incomplete dislocation of the shoulder joint where the head of the upper arm bone, humerus, partially slides out of the glenoid cavity.
I don't find anything humorous about it, Sean.
I've also seen people, and Oilers Nation, make sure you're following that account. I saw John Shannon say that it was a wrist injury.
Chat said wrist injury too. It did not look like wrist for me.
My only question is,
I'm not a doctor.
I'm not doubting anybody, but where'd you get the information from? Because I know Chris Knobloch didn't disclose what it was.
Right.
Nor should he.
Probably. I guess it doesn't matter if he's going to be out for the playoffs, but yeah.
Yeah. I want to clarify. You mean when you say biggest loss or biggest absence to overcome, like suffered in the playoffs, right?
That's what I said. Yeah. I phrased it in a way that protected against.
Doesn't include like Heiskanen or.
I assume that.
I forget how I phrased it, but I was careful to not make, because you could say that like not playing without Ekholm has been or on paper was a bigger task than upcoming playing without.
I would say
Zach
Heiskanen
Hyman.
For Dallas anyway too.
Heiskanen big as well. So Oilers up 3-1 in the series, and Zach Hyman, per Chris Knobloch, getting surgery today or had surgery today. Let's hope it's successful. You always want a successful surgery. Unlikely to return in the playoffs. Here's what Zach Hyman has done this postseason. He's 5th on the Oilers in points with 11, but most notably has the most hits in the playoffs by 29. Zach Hyman leads the postseason with 111 hits. The next most hits is Moneybags himself, Mr. Sam Bennett, with 82. Then Luosterainen, then Podkolzin, then Bischel. Top 4, though, Oilers and Panthers players. And these two teams have seemed destined to meet each other and hit each other. And the boy that does the most hitting will now not be there.
15 hits away from the all-time playoff record, too.
6 hits away from his career high in a regular season. He has played 14 games this postseason.
15, right?
15, 14?
I think it's 15.
15.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
yes.
I mean, that's unbelievable. And like, it may not hurt you now in this series, obviously against Dallas. I think it's really gonna be a big blow going up against Florida, because you know how Florida plays, and like both in terms of the physicality hits wise, but also we know Zach Hyman loves to score right in that dirty area, and that's kind of where you're going to need to get goals from against the Panthers.
I will say we've sung a lot of praises of ESPN this postseason. Loved PK Subban's intro yesterday. It's a shame we're probably not going to have time to talk about it. I had meant to put VR goggles on him for that. Did you see the PK Subban intro?
No.
Absurd. Sean, did you see it?
Was it like wasn't it kind of like referencing his fashion shit? I forget exactly.
It was like showing shots of people wearing their clothes walking in, and PK doing like a playoffs.
Oh,
that time of year.
They've been running that every game.
Really, when he says like, so go and take it, and walks off, and I'd never seen that before.
Yesterday would have been the first time I turned the broadcast on before puck drop, if I'm being honest with you.
They've been running that the entire series.
He looks like a trust fund magician. It was an insane video, and I wanted to put VR goggles on him for it, but alas.
That's one where he's like at like the Taylor sort of situation, and they reveal like the Western Conference final like script that's etched into something.
I don't recall that part. I
I didn't
mainly
pay
remember
close enough
player
attention.
entrances and thinking he looks like a trust fund magician.
Okay.
But that is that. Where was I going with that? Oh, ESPN across the board was unaware that Corey Perry plays on the Oilers. That Corey Perry's the net front guy on the Oilers, which confused me. Ferraro said it, like everyone was saying it, and Knobloch on the bench was like, "Yeah,
He was asked about that by Emily, I believe.
yeah, by
and,
Emily."
and then he was like, "Yeah, big loss, but like him and Perry are both those guys, and we'll just have Perry play on like both units or something."
So the reason I say that is we'd not talked about that, but the fact that he wasn't on that first unit anyway, and they're playing a 900-year-old guy instead of him, told me he was injured already. He was already hurt, or that he was taking such a toll by throwing his body around that they were giving him that break. So on the power play, at least, not a huge loss. But just as far as how physical he's been and the fact that he is fucking Zach Hyman. I don't know this for a fact. No one has told me anything like this, but my estimation of the Oilers has always been that Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl lead with fear, which is not what I would do, but that's a style that some people use. And that Zach Hyman is the dad that comes home from work at the end of the day. And then everybody's it's a nice vibe, because after like mom's been yelling at everybody all day, Zach Hyman is the guy that kind of rounds that out into the nice family that it is. I could be completely wrong. Leon and Connor could be a bunch of softies. They don't strike me as that. Zach Hyman seems like the most captain-like person to not wear a letter in the NHL.
I would agree with that last statement. Yeah, I mean, like it's kind of unbelievable that he doesn't have a letter most nights. You're like, huh? Who is wearing one?
Yeah, but they have enough.
They have a lot of good players.
You can't have Nurse not wear one. You can't have Nuge not wear one. So now the Oilers must move on without Zach Hyman. Do you know? I tweeted this, and I did put it in the document because I was so excited. Do you know who leads the Oilers in hits per 60?
I would imagine Zach Hyman.
Zach Hyman is third.
Damn. Okay. No, then I don't.
Vasily Podkolzin is second. Sean, could you do me the honors? Who leads the Oilers in hits per 60 this postseason?
Carolina Hurricanes and Buffalo Sabres legend Jeff Skinner.
Jeff Skinner with
Come on.
26.78 hits per 60. Granted, he has played
one game,
11 minutes this postseason, but he leads the Oilers in 26.78 hits per 60.
Numbers never lie.
That is where we begin the Jeff Skinner part of this conversation, because at long last, you would think Jeff Skinner will return to the lineup. I will give you a refresher on Jeff Skinner. He is a Caucasian Canadian man who is a longtime NHLer, a big-time scoring wing. He famously took figure skating lessons when he was a kid, or was a figure skater, I should say.
Took a picture with Taylor Swift.
Took a picture with Taylor Swift.
Played Nerf guns with Ed Sheeran.
Yes.
So, one of the most fascinating guys in the NHL. Also has one of the best smiles in the NHL.
Talk show host.
Yes.
There's nothing this guy can't do except get into the Oilers lineup. 16 goals in 72 games in the regular season, his first with Edmonton. He finished the regular season very strong on a line with Connor Brown and Connor McDavid that people will forget. I asked Sean before, I was like, remember this? And he was like, not at all. People will forget that late in the season, the best line in hockey was Connor Brown, Connor McDavid, Jeff Skinner. And we were like, Chris Knobloch's kind of got to keep this going. Chris Knobloch said, the fuck I do. And he did not play them going into the postseason. He played Jeff Skinner for one game. Then he benched him. 11 minutes and 12 seconds to be exact. Then he benched him. And now Jeff Skinner has been toiling while Edmonton's depth in Jeff Skinner's or in Chris Knobloch's defense has been so good that you could not take Trent Frederick out of the lineup, even though I wanted to after game one of this series. You could not take Kasperi Kapanen out of the lineup. Victor Arvidsson also had been a healthy scratch all of this time, just returned to the lineup yesterday for game 4. So now it would seem would be Jeff Skinner's time. Before we get into how that looks and where you play him, How do you feel about Jeff Skinner after probably a month off, jumping back into the lineup for his second career postseason game when the stakes are as high as they could possibly be?
Let's be honest, he's not going to play. They're going to rush Matthias Ekholm back, and they're going to go 11-7.
So that was one of my things. Worth noting, you have to play Ekholm in Game 5, I think.
I don't think you have to. I think that it would make a lot of sense in a lot of different ways. Like, you're down a forward, and you don't want to play Jeff Skinner, clearly. And I think that getting him up to speed a little bit in a situation where you can run 11-7, feel okay about it, feel like you've got some runway, give him limited minutes, see how he does, and then proceed from there, and then maybe give him a little break between, assuming that you win in 5 or 6, and then go to the break for the Cup final. It would make a lot of sense for Ekholm to slot back in if he's ready.
I don't think you want to have to do 11-7 in Game 1 of the Stanley Cup final if that's not your want. WONT. And I don't think you want one of your best players first game back in like a couple of months to be Game 1 of the Stanley Cup final. So I think you play him on Thursday in Dallas, and maybe that's an 11-7 thing, so you're not playing Jeff Skinner then. At some point, though, Edmonton will be back to 12-6, and that's when Jeff Skinner plays. And maybe if Brown is back, that also solves it, because Brown was out last game.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they keep Arvidsson in for Hyman, and Connor Brown returns to the lineup. But if Jeff Skinner is playing and Brown is playing, and maybe you take Arvidsson out, do you do the Skinner, McDavid, Brown line, knowing it was very good late in the regular season, but also knowing that's kind of the opposite of what the Connor McDavid line has been of late? You don't have somebody throwing the body around the way that Zach Hyman has been. And perhaps most importantly, right now, the Oilers' best player, not named Stuart Skinner, might be Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
Oh, I don't think.
Do you take him?
Might.
Do you say he's better than McDavid
their best
this
player
postseason?
in this series.
Or this series?
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Do you split him up from Connor McDavid, though, when he's playing his best hockey? Do you fuck up his situation? Because I know that Chris Knobloch likes to have as little change as possible, which sounds wild for a guy who mixes up his lines a lot, but I think that he doesn't want to have one injury mean 10 things. I think he wants one injury to mean 2 things.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not Chris Knobloch. I'm not really like a lines guy. I don't really have all that much interest in diving into the Edmonton Oilers line combinations. Plus, I got another game to win. Another game to win here. But I trust Knobloch. He's pushed most of the right buttons so far, and I trust him. I probably wouldn't separate Nuge and Connor while they're going so hot right now.
I think I wouldn't either. I think that if Brown is back, maybe I do Nuge, Connor, but we shall see. I will just say, like, we are not guaranteed Jeff Skinner returning.
Definitely
Which
not.
is the second saddest part of all this.
They might just like run with an empty lineup spot. Like they might go 11-6 rather than play Jeff Skinner at this
Famously,
point.
Troy Stetcher played forward this season. Again, that game against the Kraken, remember?
That'd be so fucking funny.
Dude, I would make my whole personality.
Matthias Ekholm back. Also, Troy Stetcher now forward.
I would make my whole personality hating the Edmonton Oilers.
11-7, and one of the 11 is Troy Stetcher playing forward.
And also defense?
No. I'm saying like Emberson. I'm saying that they have like
because
Bouchard,
okay.
Wallman, Klingberg, Nurse, Emberson, Ekholm, and I don't know who I'm missing there. Probably somebody really good.
Did you say Bouch and Nurse?
Maybe. I forget.
I know what you're saying.
But then who the fuck am I forgetting? Anyway, then on top of the 7 they have playing, Stetcher is playing forward. So there's your 11-7, but really 10-8.
Did you say Klingberg?
Yeah.
Wallman?
Maybe. Okay, so Oilers now are in the situation, maybe, because Kane got hurt last night too. Kulak. Oh my God, how could I forget Kulak? What a pass yesterday to Kaspinen. Unbelievable. Shout out to our guy who got the Kasperi Kapanen jersey. He thought he was going to be alone. Now everyone's going to buy Kapanen jerseys. I do feel bad for him.
I don't know if that's true.
I was going to say, I'm not sure.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure he's not alone.
Yes, I bet
have been alone when he bought it.
That's what I'm saying. He went from being the only person with a Kapanen jersey to, I am sure by the end of this week, at least 5 people will unironically have purchased a Kasperi Kapanen jersey.
It's a long ways from everyone to 5 people.
Well, I was saying I said I went from alone to now other people are going to have it. He went from being the only
word everyone.
I think you did suggest that it would be a lot of people.
Yes. Okay. I think that I was.
Which, to be fair, they are the just over 1 million. So I guess comparatively,
yeah,
it is a lot of people.
Percentage-wise.
5 is a lot of people.
That's right. Cap's going up.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Oilers in injury trouble now. Would you put them in the conversation we were just having with the Panthers, or is the Hyman injury? I say this very respectfully because Zach Hyman is my guy. Is that something a team can overcome and still win the Stanley Cup?
I think it is, but I think that it is, especially this year for the Oilers, who have just constantly been like next man up, the best depth that they've had in probably like this era of Oilers teams. But like if we're having the discussion around like the Panthers and their injuries and how it could affect them in the Stanley Cup final and their chances of repeating, I think it would be disingenuous to not have the conversation when it comes to Edmonton and what Zach Hyman means to the Oilers. Like he's a guy who does everything. He is a guy that is going to be pretty integral to the blueprint to beating the Panthers. So to having him out of the lineup, I think his absence is really going to hurt them.
I agree. Yes.
Breaking news, slightly related to this conversation. Reinhart, Mikkola, and Greer are all expected to play in Game 5.
Okay. Panthers getting healthy.
And the Panthers went back to Dairy Queen.
Went back to what?
Dairy Queen.
Say again?
Dairy Queen?
Oh, gosh. I thought you were saying Derek
Oh,
Lee. I was
Pete's
like,
having a tough couple of shows
Excuse
with
me?
Dairy Queen talk.
I was left up bad and bougie? What? Excuse me?
Say again? Say again? Shout out DJ Wackademics.
That's my favorite interview of all time.
It's so fucking funny.
Joe Budden just getting up
Wrap
and
it up
leaving.
then.
Just being like, get me out of here.
R.I.P. Takeoff.
No hit chat. Evan Bouchard whacks Rope Hintz on the foot yesterday in the first period. Clear as day. It's the foot that Hintz hurt at the end of game 2. And a lot of discourse about it. We won't do deep hit chat, but what did you think?
I mean, I'm okay with it, but it's part of the game. Gamesmanship.
Brad Marchand voice.
It's not good behavior, but like I kind of like that being part of the playoffs. Like at the end of the day, I'm always gonna be on the side of like, give me the nastiness, give me the shithousery, give me the whatever you want to call it, rather than having guys not be physical. I like the element of the playoffs being a war, and I'm always going to like that. And I know it's not great behavior, and I don't want anybody to get hurt. I don't want anybody to have their injury exasperated or whatever. That's not the right word. What's the right word? I'm in the neighborhood.
You don't want the injury to get...
I don't want the injury to get re-aggravated or whatever you want to say. Worse.
Made worse.
Yeah,
But
I know there's a word you're looking for,
Yes.
and I can feel it, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I this is part of the game.
Exacerbated.
Exacerbated. Close enough. This is part of the game. It is. It is what it is, and I like it. I just like the element of these guys going at each other's throats, trying to injure each other in gamesmanship ways. I think that's part of the game that I love.
Yeah, and I'm biased because I'm an Oilers fan, but I'm also a Brad Marchand fan, and I trust what he said about everyone is trying to injure each other. I was doing a lot of eye rolling last night at some of the reactions to that. Like, I understand if you're not an Oilers fan, seeing that so plainly gives you reason to say, fuck Evan Bouchard, or someone should go try to injure Evan Bouchard. Mainly, I was worried about that as the game went on, when Edmonton was down to 10 forwards and their best defenseman seemingly was like public enemy number 1. Because if he got himself hurt, I wouldn't care if they won that game 100-0. I'd be very, very worried. But we did get a good moment out of it. Sean and I were discussing before the show. Both dugouts got warned.
Mm-hmm.
See that?
It did.
Came over, pointed to both. Didn't point to both, but...
And I don't think talk to Dallas at all, actually. But it's the spirit of it.
I don't think needed to talk to Dallas, though, which is sad. Pete DeBoer allegedly said to his team, like, whatever you guys are thinking, you're not capable of doing
You're not
it.
built
So
for this.
Yeah, don't
That's
try
so
to do
tough.
that. You guys aren't tough.
Dacky makes a good point. My big word streak has officially come to an end, and the lack of glasses today may have caused that. So,
Oh, there you go.
I will strive to be better tomorrow.
Stuart Skinner, unbelievable again. Another great game 4, stops 28 of 29. Only goal against was on the power play. Jason Robertson, Mans is getting hot. He has allowed 2 goals in the last 3 games, has a .941 save percentage since returning from his benching, a .957 save percentage since game 4 of the second round. And it's reached the point now where if you go to nhl.com/stats and click on goalie, he's just like one of the guys that's up there, and he's got a 910 save percentage for the postseason. And you would just look at that and think, oh, nice. Been pretty good. Cool. And you move on, and you just would not. There is little evidence of the roller coaster.
Yeah, I mean, is it fair to say that last night was like the most that I was impressed by Stu?
First period, he was unbelievable. Like,
And
first
needed
period, he was the best player on the ice.
Needed it too, because like Dallas played great in the first period, and I give him credit for that. Like, they really needed to have a strong first period. They just haven't really done that all too often. And like, the big key for me is get to Stu early, get in his head, get between the ears. And Dallas now has given up the first goal in 14 of 17 games in these playoffs, which is crazy. They tried their best to get to him in the first period, and he was so good, so solid. And it kind of expels the idea that, like, hey, if you test him early, he can be broken. And maybe that's still true, but it wasn't last night. And Mr. Game 4 showed up big, and then Dallas got almost nothing the rest of the way.
Because it's Stu Skinner, I'm not going to say that nothing bad will ever happen again, but he does not...
I think
like,
that's a good call by you.
but like, based on history, is it? Because he doesn't regress and get worse from here.
I mean, based on history, you could argue that he will suck for the first 3 games of the Cup final in a way.
I think that
but I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, like there
extent,
isn't a thing of. I think that people from the outside will look at it and they're like, one game he's this, the next game he's this. You never know what you're going to get. When in reality, it is a little more simple than that. It's in the beginning, he can be terrible and like unplayable, but once he gets going, there usually isn't another shooter drop. It's just you see what happens with the rest of the team and go from there. Before we get to our guests and before I tell you about Vivid Seats, do you think the Stars are donezo?
Yeah.
Sean is nodding yes.
I thought they were donezo before last night, but everyone was being like...
before last night would be unfair, because last night would have been, as DJ kind of alluded to during this week, like, it would have been a miraculous reset button pushed on this series had they won last night, especially going back to Dallas.
I agree. If they had won, it would have been. I just didn't think they were going to.
So here's what I'll say about the way that I view Dallas from this point out. I think that they can make this a series again, but it will be because of things that we have not seen in this series. Like, if you have a reason to believe in Dallas, it's in everything that you haven't yet seen in this series. Because everything that you have seen in this series suggests that they are out of their depths.
My only thing is kind of like with Stu, I think we just need to accept the fact that the Edmonton Oilers are adults. They're just like maybe the second best team in the NHL. And they are going...
Oh, no. I'm not being an asshole. They've been the best team this postseason.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I think
Florida.
they've played better. They've played better teams.
You can't show me a number that says Florida's better.
I don't even need numbers. I think vibes like that. It's tough because I think the Panthers have just...
record even.
The Panthers have been dominant, but they are playing worse teams. So I don't really know how to make...
Oilers have a better record than the Panthers this postseason, and they played the Golden Knights and the Stars.
Yeah, but I mean, Florida ran through Tampa. Florida is running through Carolina.
Here's where your Leafs thing fucks you, though.
I mean, I've never said that the Leafs were a bad team. Like,
the Leafs series is so fucking weird because I feel like they kicked their ass even though the series went to 7 games.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like they spotted them 2 games at the outset, and then they lost a game in which we all kind of expected them to lose in game 6. But game 5 and 7, they steamrolled them.
That doesn't really matter, I guess. My point being, like, I think the Oilers are just better than the Dallas Stars significantly.
Definitely.
Right now. And they're just going to beat this team in 5 games. And I don't
think that anybody can complain about a rematch. Like, as tired as you might be,
the 2 best teams right now.
I don't think that you can complain about a rematch because both of these teams have established themselves as by far the best teams in their conference so far.
Okay, I do not think the Dallas Stars are dead. I think they can come back in this series, and I'm worried about that. I will say, though, while I am sad and while I'm bummed about the Zach Hyman thing, typically I would give you guys flowers if you completely nailed something. Nobody at the beginning of this series, other than yours truly, was saying, Stars aren't playing that well, guys. We are overrating the Stars. Through 4 games, do you feel some of that? Are you like, we were, not just you guys, I'm saying like everybody. Like, it's exciting that with that roster they got where they were. But this team, through 4 games in this series, I think has put together 3 good periods. So I think that the 3-1 series score is fine. But like Sean's point, they're just not playing anywhere near as well as their opponent is.
I feel the same way as I kind of did at the outset. And I agreed with what you said at the outset, which was that they're being carried largely by a couple players. But I was expecting, and kind of maybe wrongly so, that their depth, the depth of their lineup, would show up, and it hasn't. And like and those 2 guys that did everything have now been shut down. Right. And so I'm more disappointed by Dallas than feeling like I was wrong to believe in them.
Yeah.
Like, the reason why I'm disappointed is because I believed in them, and I still kind of do.
I guess my feelings are more that I am disappointed in myself for doubting the Edmonton Oilers more than believing in the Dallas Stars. Like, I think this is the series where I kind of was just saying, where I'm finally accepting that, like, they are just a really good team, and Stuart Skinner's just locked in right now. And like, we're not going to get those full-blown asshole performances from the Oilers. Like, even in game 1, it wasn't a full-blown asshole performance. They had 1 bad period. Like, I just think that's where we are right now. We have 2 very, very good teams that are going to meet in the Stanley Cup final.
I think like pundits, including myself or whatever you want to say, like, there's been reputation calls on the Edmonton Oilers based off of what they've been in the past.
Yeah.
And sort of what their identity has been. And a lot of that has been me expecting some of that stuff to come back. And it just really hasn't over the past couple of weeks. They've just looked like a really, really good hockey team.
That's something that we should do in between. If these are the 2 teams that we think are going to advance, between the series, we should do like a kind of myth-busting thing or like a narrative resetting thing on, here's what we think of the Panthers, here's what we say about the Panthers, here's what we think of the Oilers and say about them. A lot of it is probably true. What are the things that we're a little off on? Like the Skinner thing from a few minutes ago of like, it really isn't like one game he's great, one game he's bad. I think it'd be a fascinating conversation. Big game 5 tomorrow in Dallas. And if you want to see those lights, if you want to see those sweet lights on the stairs, Vivid Seats. No better place to get tickets for any live event. I'm talking about a game. I'm talking about a show. I'm talking about a concert. They have the best section of seats, a 100% buyer guarantee, and they're the only ticket marketplace that rewards you for every purchase. For a limited time, our listeners can use promo code CHAOS30 to receive $30 off their first Vivid Seats purchase of $300 or more. Just click the link in the show notes or download the Vivid Seats app and use promo code CHAOS30 for $30 off your first purchase of $300 or more. And that's not all. Vivid Seats is giving away free tickets every week. Check out the exclusive game center in the Vivid Seats app and play trivia about your favorite teams and artists for your chance to win. When it comes to playoff hockey, being there is all that matters, so experience it live with Vivid Seats.
And while Dallas is heading back to Dallas, maybe they should get some Mando in the Stars locker room to put next to the jet fuel and gasoline that Ropa Hintz was drinking last night.
I skipped that whole thing because I was afraid of what I would think, like, the more I thought about it.
Okay.
Like, what's going... I don't want to know.
Get some Mando in the Dallas Stars locker room because a lot of those guys are stinky right now. And Mando is a men's deodorant brand that is hyper-focused on keeping every aspect of a man's body smelling fresh and clean. And yeah, we mean every aspect. You wanna throw some body parts out there?
How about your dick?
Jesus Christ, wasn't expecting that to be the first. All right, well, you could start with the pits. You could start with the dick. You could go belly buttons, balls, butt cracks, grundles, and everywhere in between. Mando is a whole body deodorant created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was ruining his life. And instead of dealing with it and just saying this is life, he said, I can do better. I can block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours, and I can do it with great smells like bourbon leather, Cloverwoods, Mount Fuji, and Pro Sport. And that doctor nailed it because Mando is an unbelievable men's deodorant product that comes in a litany of varieties.
Bourbon leather, I'm telling you.
DJ just won't
get
shut
on
the
it.
fuck up about it. Spraying it all over his microphone. It's crazy, but it smells delicious. Did you just spray it? Because I can smell it now.
Nope.
All right,
Shut
so
the
maybe
cap
that's
off.
my own cologne. I almost said perfume. My own cologne. Good for me. It comes in solid stick. It comes in this little spray over there. It comes in wipes. And you can do body wash as well. So we love Mando. DJ won't shut up about it. I can't blame him.
I mean, famously, you talk about it way more than I do.
So I kind of have to. But
So
you're-
do I.
Most of these reads fall to me. You just talk about it for recreation. I talk about it for business.
Yes. Are you aware that this is a sponsor and we are supposed to endorse it? We're supposed to talk about it. Say nice things.
We are, and we love it. The starter pack is perfect for new customers. Comes with a solid stick deodorant, a cream tube, 2 free products of your choice, like the mini body wash or deodorant wipes, free shipping as well. And as a special offer for our listeners, new customers are also going to get $5 off that starter pack with an exclusive code. That code is WhatChaos. Go to shopmando.com and you're going to get 40% off the starter pack. shopmando.com. Please support the show and tell them we sent you.
Huge day, by the way. Official. Dmitry Simashev and Daniil Bouch signed ELCs with the Utah Mammoth.
Love that.
Watch out. Add Mark Stone and John Tavares to that mix.
Are they the most Russian team in the NHL now?
They got to be up there. I just referred to them as Red October. Endearing.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a good question. We will think about who's the most. I mean, how could it not be the Columbus Blue Jackets?
They're up there.
Very,
I mean,
very
it's
Russian.
3v3 now.
No. You got Voronkov. You
Marchenko.
got Marchenko. You got Chinnikov. You got Elvis. Or is Elvis,
Elvis is
Latvian?
Latvian.
Elvis is not Russian.
Yeah.
Is he Latvian?
Latvian, yeah.
I never heard of Latvia. I have heard of
They have
this next
Provorov.
guest. What's that?
Provorov.
Ivan Provorov,
Yeah,
but
I guess
now
they do have him.
could leave. We'll
Yeah.
see. Owen Newkirk of DLLS does a great job on the Star Show. Watch him. You can watch him post-game, pre-game, everywhere. Hello, Owen. How are you?
DJ, Pete, nice to be here. How you guys doing today?
Great.
Mixed bag. How do you feel if you are a Dallas Stars fan?
That's an interesting question. I'm a New England fan of everything because I'm from Maine. But no, I am, of course, supporting and cheering for the Dallas Stars. I worked for them for a decade. So I'm actually, I don't know if I'm still a Bruins fan anymore. I always
Fan.
liked
I
them
don't
when
know
I
if
was
anybody
a kid.
is.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
Well,
kidding.
our producer is a huge Bruins guy, but he's going through some stuff right now. So
John Anderson.
John Anderson, you guys
Yes.
know our buddy
Oh, yeah.
John, who's fantastic. He keeps our show together, which is a task with Luddy and me and Sam and Sean. We're having a lot of fun. But yeah, so what are the Stars fans feeling right now? If you listen to our chat or if you read our chat on our post-game show last night, I would say despondent and hanging on by a thread, ready to jump off that ledge and basically feeling the series is over. They also think that the roster needs to be blown up, that Pete DeBoer needs to be fired. And I mean, you know how it is. It's the overreaction on social media and on especially our YouTube chat at times. We have some positive people, but we also have some negative people. And so I think the more tempered feeling is kind of surprise and frustration because I was listening to your last segment and sort of hearing what you guys had to say about the Stars. And I don't think you guys were wrong, especially Pete. Maybe DJ was wrong about believing in the Dallas Stars because they're a really good hockey team. You have to be to get through Colorado and Winnipeg just to get to the Final Four. Edmonton is also a really good hockey team. Honestly, I think all four in the last four are really, really accomplished clubs. Florida may just be on a different level, which is scary in some sense. I don't think Dallas is that far off. Unfortunately, their big problem is they can't play with a lead, meaning they can't get to a lead. They can play with a lead, but they haven't been able to get out in front except for that furious game one, third period comeback where their power play just shredded the Oilers and they showed what they're capable of. But they've been behind in all four games, and that is, you guys know how that is. That's not a recipe for success.
So what's the issue here? Like we spend a lot of time talking about Carolina and how like maybe there's an identity crisis there because they keep hitting the ceiling in the Eastern Conference Final. Well, it feels like it's kind of maybe slipped under the radar just because they haven't gotten swept in the Western Conference Final every year. But we're on the precipice of 3 straight years where Dallas exits in that conference final. So like, what do they need to maybe push them through to that next step?
You mean besides a few more goals early in the game? Yeah,
help.
I mean, that's the start, right? The last two conversations, the games 3 and 4 were Dallas was just on something. They were steamrolling the Oilers in the second period of game 3, but it was 1-1 in that period. They couldn't tie it. They couldn't get the lead. I mean, the McDavid goal with, I think it was under 20 seconds to go in that second, made it 3-1. And that was after we thought it was Bischel. It turned out they gave the goal to Jason Robertson in game 3. Robertson was actually seen on the bench mad, I think, because Luddy seems to think it was because he didn't think that he got credit for it. I think it's because he wasn't sure he actually touched it. And he just is a goal scorer and he needed one. Well, that was his first one. So that was a big letdown to then turn around and go into the third period down 3-1 in game 3. Last night, they had almost 40 shot attempts in the first period against the Oilers, and then they gave up a power play goal. I mean, it's a super cliched answer, guys, but special teams and goaltending dictate so much of the way playoff hockey goes. I mean, regular season too, but especially in the playoffs. And the Oilers got 2 power play goals and 2 empty net goals, and there's your game.
Are you surprised by the third periods? Because obviously, yeah, they need to score in the first period, but last 2 third periods, Dallas has 7 shots on goal. And obviously that's an Edmonton thing, but with Dallas's roster, it should not be a Dallas thing.
Yeah, DJ, that's an interesting one because you would think that with all the firepower that Dallas does possess, or at least theoretically in the playoffs do possess, that they'd be able to muster more than that. Honestly, I'm going to turn around and give credit to the Oilers here because this is a different team. They were not, and I've watched the Oilers for a long, long time when they were compiling up all these first-round picks and not doing anything about shoring up their defense. This team, as you guys have probably seen, Connor McDavid say very frustratingly, and yes, we can play defense, but they actually can play defense. That lockdown reminded me more of a Ken Hitchcock style, Jim Montgomery style, not to hit too close to home, guys. But when you see that sort of clog, slog, and lock it down, that's a pretty mature, it's really boring, but it's a really mature style of third period hockey. You get the lead and you just kill the game. And that's exactly what they did. Now, the Stars said after game 4 last night that there were a couple of player comments that said, we've got to positionally put the puck in places where Stuart Skinner can't go get it. We've got to make life harder. Guys, you're down 2-1. As Pete said in the last segment, you can reset. You win that game last night, it's 2-2, and everybody's emotions and feelings about this series flips on a dime because now it's best of 3 with Dallas having 2 home games, and they didn't do it. Got to give credit to the Oilers on that, but that was very disappointing to see how the Stars didn't create. I believe they had, by my tracking, 1 high danger chance in the third period, and it came from Jamie Benn. Other than that, it was all Oilers, but I'm a big soccer guy. Luddy makes fun of me because he doesn't understand soccer at all, but the correlation fits. This is a absorb pressure, low block, and counter. And the Oilers with the lead, going back to the Stars getting that, or the Oilers getting the first goal, they can literally be patient, absorb pressure against Dallas, and then hit them when they make mistakes on the counter. And boy, I mean, who better than a guy like Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl to be on your counterattack? Those guys are just a nightmare to deal with 5-on-5, let alone when you have an odd man rush.
Yeah, that was kind of my takeaway yesterday, and maybe for like a large portion of the series, that like Edmonton is very okay just waiting things out, and very okay just. And Leon said it from an individual perspective for last series, where it's just like, I don't care about my stats. Like, we are trying to win hockey games right now. And the Oilers' commitment to playing how they need to play is really, really impressive, and a big part of the reason why they've had so much success. But it goes back to, like, if Dallas can get out to a lead, the Oilers they can't pack it in and play shutdown defensive clinic hockey for 40 straight minutes, which they were able to do last night. So I do think the starts are important. And you mentioned special teams and goaltending. To you, how much has goaltending been a story in this series? Because we've talked a lot about Stuart Skinner. We haven't really talked a ton about Jake Ottinger, but I think that's partially because I don't know if I want to speak for you here, but like Jake Ottinger hasn't been bad in this series. Stuart Skinner has just outplayed him to a surprising degree for the second year in a row.
Yeah, I mean, that happens. I was going to ask, because Sean Shapiro brought this up with us a couple of days ago, like, is Ottinger tired to you? And is that why this happens?
Yeah, I was actually driving home from our show, so I was still in the car, but I pulled up so that I could hear Sean talk to you guys about that. What was that? I can't even remember what day
Sunday.
was it. Monday?
We
was
don't
it
work
Sunday?
for when there's.
That's right. It wasn't.
We support the
It
troops.
wasn't Memorial. Okay, I appreciate that. Well, that's a very bold stance for you guys to take. I
Yes.
appreciate that.
Finally, a hockey show who supports the troops.
I know. It seems like a real, lack of coverage there. I think Sean has been pounding on the desk about usage with Ottinger all year with our show, and he's on regularly. He's on at least twice a week. He's actually should be just about landing in Dallas right now, so he'll be on our show this afternoon in studio, which is always a nice treat. But I don't know if I buy that. Why? Well, Jake Ottinger wants to be one of the best goalies in the world. You guys have talked about it. You've probably heard Sean say he specifically says he wants to try to earn the starting job for Team USA for the Olympics. He wants to be thought of as one of the top goalies in the league and vis-a-vis the world. Well, best goalies in the world. Connor Hellebuyck plays a ton. For years, Andrei Vasilevsky played more than anybody in the league, and it didn't seem to affect his numbers or his ability to play. I do think there is a point of let's not play him, especially when you have a guy like Casey DeSmith or before him, Scott Wedgwood, very capable backup winning you games, of not running him into that 65 game starts or 65 starts a year. That's probably too much when you think you're going to play 20 plus playoff games on the kind of run you think. That being said, to Pete's point about the goalies for the series, I don't think Jake Ottinger's been bad at all. I just think that Stuart Skinner's numbers have been great. There's been a couple of times where he's made some really timely, good saves. Do you guys feel
More
like
than a couple?
Do you think he stood on his head? Because
I think that in the first period last night he did. Yeah.
Okay.
And Dallas was all over Edmonton in the first period. And
I just thought the Stars missed the net.
I mean, he even made a huge save in, like, this will be forgotten, but at 5-on-5, he made a huge save in game 1 in the third period after Dallas. I think after Dallas had taken the lead, he made a huge save on a partial breakaway.
That's right.
And like Rannon has gotten nothing off him, and Rannon has had a lot of like pretty clean looks on him and has not been able to pick a spot on Stu Skinner. Stu's a big guy, so it's partially that. But I'll disagree and say that there have been a few moments where I've been like, oh, this isn't just he's behind amazing things happening. I would love if he made no remarkable saves, because that would mean that there were no remarkable chances. But I think he has been good. But I agree with Pete's point that Ottinger has not been bad. People are talking about Ottinger the way that they talk about Stu, albeit less dramatically, which is he could have stopped that shot. Therefore, I'm mad at him. And like, could have isn't should have.
Are you guys talking about the Draisaitl power play goal, the first one?
I'll never blame anybody for giving up.
I mean, that was it may be a little overextended, but boy, that was a heck of a shot, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and that's something that he does all season, and Vegas completely took away, and Dallas to this point had taken away. But no, I'll never fault a goalie for an impossible angle goal from Leon Draisaitl, who, different story. Like, he's the best passer in the world. He's top 2-3 scorer in the world. So I forgive not being able to stop that.
And I get being frustrated by Ottinger when like your biggest perceived advantage 2 years in a row is goaltending and it doesn't come true. But like, we're still sitting here talking about a Dallas Stars team that has scored 3 5-on-5 goals in 4 games to the series. That is not a goaltending problem by any means. I do want to ask, from your sense, did Dallas Stars fans hate Stuart Skinner? Because as a Bruins fan, I fucking hate Jordan Binnington, who is a volatile goaltender who ruined my life one time, or I guess twice now with the Four Nations. If I'm a Stars fan, I look at Stuart Skinner and I'm just like, what the fuck is that guy's deal? He's a disaster whenever he doesn't play my team, and then he kills my team in the playoffs.
There's definitely some Stars fan angst towards Skinner, but I think they all hate Jordan Binnington more because he's the perfect villain for the NHL. And it's not just Stanley Cup final hatred, although I certainly understand that, or Four Nations hatred. It's just his persona. He plays that heel. He's the anti-hero. He's actually quite effective at what he does, and then he lashes out and does some really dumb things. And that, look, you guys know this. The league needs villains too. We can't just play heroes all the time. We need to have that give and take. That's why Corey Perry has been so successful, because he is a really good player. And when he was in Dallas, he's a phenomenal person and a great teammate. He just gets on the ice and turns into a psycho sometimes and does crazy things, which is also very good because you need to hate those guys. As far as really hating Skinner, I don't know if that's the case, or it's more just sort of a frustrating thing because you're sitting there going, example. So I know we keep going back to game 1 and those 3 power play goals they scored in under 6 minutes. He started to look a little lost in that game. And there were some plays where he was kind of flopping around, and Matt Duchene's goal where he hit Rope Hintz in the back and then finished it on the second shot. I don't know what Skinner saw because he took forever to get from the left post, right?
He had to have thought it was out of play.
I thought he thought that Rantanen's shot was in the net, maybe, and so he was just sort of reacting like, "Oh, it's a goal." But you're right; he clearly didn't think that it was still going because it took forever. But beside that, he has looked really good. And that save, I think it was game 2 where the Stars were behind, and Lindell came in and he stuck his paddle out and just, that was one of those silly saves where you go a hope and a prayer and it hit him. But even then, it might not have turned the game around. I just feel like, and this is the frustrating thing of watching a Stars team that has the offense, it just isn't displaying it, is they need one. If they can get one, and as Pete said, force Edmonton out of their comfort, out of their shell, make them open up a little bit. It doesn't mean it's easy because McDavid and Draisaitl are such difference makers, even Evan Bouchard to an extent, that even if you're playing a really good structured game, they can still pick you apart. That's why they're 2 of the best players on the planet. But I think, to your point about the 5-on-5 scoring, I think this is a pretty tight game that then, somebody makes a mistake and then that leads to something. I think if you flip the roles, if Dallas gets a lead, which again, they've got to do that first, right? You can't just hand them out. If they can pull that off, I think you see them do the exact same thing to the Oilers, because all year, one of the Stars' big strengths was their transition game, hitting teams on their rush, countering with numbers, and just picking teams apart. They haven't been able to do that because Edmonton gets back so quickly, partly because, as you said, Draisaitl doesn't care about his points right now. Obviously he does, but he is at least happy to play whatever role he has to.
It's easy to not worry about your points, where you're like, if I don't think about points, I'll just finish second in the NHL in points, which has happened. Like, he's still, I believe he's second in the postseason and winning games. This is what turns me, and your point is well taken. This is where, and I said that I'm not counting the Stars out, this is where I turn back into an Oilers Bobo. You said that Stars need to score early. They need to get the first goal. Who is by far the best come-from-behind team in the postseason?
That's the thing. It's like the Oilers can either pack it in and play that defensive structure, but there's no team in the world that's better at, we need a goal, let's go get a goal. Because they have the 2 guys who are probably best at that in terms of okay, my team needs a goal. I'm going to just go get one.
I always call it the Kyrie Irving thing, where like no one is better in sports maybe at like, we need points, we need a bucket. Just give me the ball. I promise you I'll be right back. We will have 2 points. Kyrie Irving can do that. McDavid does that.
Which is why Dallas doesn't need like one. They don't need to get one. They need to get to the Oilers earlier on in games and provide some separation. Whereas when in the third period, when McDavid and Draisaitl say, okay, the team needs a goal, they need to have to say the team needs 2 goals, 3 goals. And from what I've seen from Dallas's offense, where is it? And where's the faith that that's going to happen for this team?
See, I think it can happen. If you remember, and again, it was a quick moment, but early in the period, this was the first period of last night, Tyler Seguin had a wraparound at the left side of the net. It went through the crease and wide. It goes right on Matt Duchene's stick, and he hits basically the base of the right post, and it kicks out. And Skinner was not there. He didn't have the angle. Again, I know, look, ifs, ands, or buts, grundles, perineums, you name it. Yes, we have the Mando Reed on our show too. And it doesn't mean anything if you can't actually finish. But those are the kind of plays where the way you watch them play, you go, boy, you put that puck in, you do this, it's there. Here's the thought I had about it is LA I thought the Kings were going to crush the Oilers based on how they were playing going into the playoffs and then, how they looked early in that series. I thought 2 things. Obviously, the coach's challenge was a horrible decision at that time and game, but I thought the Kings sat back when they had the lead too much. I don't think the Stars will sit back as much. They might absorb pressure, but they'll go after Edmonton the other way. So there is still, to me, some hope there. But again, I don't want everybody watching this to think that I don't see the elephant in the room, which is the Oilers are playing really well and they have the lead, and it's going to be really, really challenging. Dallas in their franchise history has never come back from a 3-1 deficit and won a series. Step 1, win game 5 at home. They've been a really good home team in the playoffs and in the regular season. They can do that. Nothing else matters. Then now you go with no Zach Hyman for the rest of the playoffs, which is a significant loss, even if they have a very deep team with guys like Victor Arvidsson or Jeff Skinner floating around there, or Derek Ryan. They do have depth too, right? These are 2 really deep teams. I mean, the Stars scratched Evgeny Dodonov last night, and they haven't even been able to find a spot for Maverick Bourque. They're deep up front too. So what do? You got to win the first game. Then find a way to win game 6 in Edmonton. If they can pull that off, which, by the way, they won a road game in each of the first 2 rounds. If they do that, now you're looking at a game 7 at home coin flip, could go either way. That seems ridiculous because it's really, really challenging. And to both of your points, DJ and Pete, you both said those game changers, right? That's the thing I think that Stars fans are probably the most frustrated is you go, man, we feel like we're a better team. We feel like we have all the things that line up. And then Connor McDavid just does something, right? He dances arguably the best defender in the NHL, Miro Heiskanen, last year, and just does one of those toe drag moves. You go, wow, you did that to Miro. Nobody does that. Or Draisaitl hits that spot on the power play. You go, yeah, well, very few people can do that. There's a couple, but not many. And that's the thing. Those big guys have shown up. The Stars need Rantanen to find another. And I know he set the bar really high against the Avalanche and the Jets, especially early in the Winnipeg series and the end of Colorado. They got to find something from him. They need, whether Rope Hintz is playing on 1 foot or not, they need something there. Jason Robertson looked better to me in game 4 last night. I feel like him getting a goal, even if it was hard to see him tip it in game 3, he looked a little bit more like Jason Robertson. Like you guys said, they just have to find something. It's there, but they might run out of time before they find it.
Owen, final topic, final question, but it's kind of a doozy. Pete DeBoer, I imagine one of the refrains that you are seeing in the comments, other than they should hit more people, they should do this, they should do that, they're not tough enough, is fire Pete DeBoer.
All night post-game.
What's that?
All night during our post-game.
Okay. 3 years, 3 conference finals. If they do not win, and it's 3 years, 3 conference finals losses, and you look at this roster and where it is, I believe he's got 1 more year on his contract. I would not fire Pete DeBoer. I do not think you are possibly going to upgrade on him. But do you think that it will at least be a conversation, or that the seat will be somewhat raising in temperature.
Yeah, they're not firing Pete DeBoer. He's for the reason you just said, DJ. He has another year on his deal. Jim Nill has never fired a coach before his contract is up for hockey-related reasons. Obviously, that's the proviso because of what happened with Jim Montgomery back in 2019, 2020, before the whole COVID thing happened. And so because of that, his history suggests that he gives his coach the term of their deal, right? Now, an extension, we said going into the playoffs, we actually had this conversation on our show. How does Pete DeBoer earn an extension? They win the Stanley Cup. I think anything shy of that, they probably just see out the last year and then make that determination and have those conversations. To me, maybe a first-round exit even to a really good Colorado team might have had that conversation, but DeBoer and his staff got this team to the third round, which is exceedingly hard to do for the third year in a row. I know there's a lot of frustration from fans that see this and go, well, we're done, we're out. First of all, it's first 4, not the 3, so they're still in it. And to me, that's just not grounds for dismissing a really good coach. Now, I know he's never won a Stanley Cup, and that seems to be the narrative right now, but he's a ridiculous 9-0 in his career in Game 7s. He got this team to the third round. There are, what would you say, 29 teams that are probably envious of this, at least. Maybe 20. Well, no, there's probably a couple that are happy to get lottery picks, but you get the point. Most of these teams would kill to swap places with where the Stars are, even down 3-1 to the Oilers. So I would say that it would be an absolute shocker of epic proportions if Pete DeBoer wasn't the head coach of the Stars next year. Now, the other part of your question, DJ, hot seat? Yeah, I mean, look, the expectation standard for this team going into this year was make it to this, at least the conference final. That's a really high bar, right? If you don't make it to the third round, you've underperformed. That's crazy, right? But that's where this is. And so it would have to be more of the same. Are we making progress? Well, so what would that be? If the Stars don't make it past Edmonton this year, would progress next year being at least making the Cup final? I mean, boy, you would think that most fan bases would be thrilled that the expectation of their team is that high.
I always say, but I feel that it always bears repeating, only one team wins a year. And I don't know if there's a bigger victim of that right now than Pete DeBoer, because he is now being seen as, and I roll my eyes, I will admit, every time I hear the Pete DeBoer Game 7 stat, I roll my eyes at it because I'm like,
winning Game 6.
How was he in Game 7 last year when his team was up 2-1 in the series and they blew that lead and went to 7 games? Oh, they didn't go to 7 games? They blew that lead and lost in 6 games. Okay, cool Game 7 coach.
Well, here's my idea. The trade is 1-for-1.
I saw in the chat.
Pete DeBoer to Carolina, Rod Brind'Amour to Dallas.
Rod Brind'Amour for Pete DeBoer straight up.
The fix is
Miko Rantanen would be thrilled, wouldn't he?
Yeah, that would be so funny.
That would rule.
That would be so funny.
Yes, we'll get you out on that. Owen Newkirk, you are the greatest. Everyone can check him out on DLLS Sports with our friend John Anderson, Sean Shapiro, the whole gang. Thank you very much, Owen.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate your time today.
All right. Talk later, friend. I don't think the Stars are dead. I just don't. And that's probably some copiism.
What does that mean?
I just don't think the Stars are dead. I think they
Do you
can
think
win
the Stars
Game 5.
can win this series?
Would you say can?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, was that your Joe Wall?
No.
Like
literally?
I couldn't tell if you said, do you think the Stars will win or can win?
Is it possible?
Literally?
No, I think the Stars can still win this series. I don't think they're dead. I basically what I'm doing is I'm hitting the cash out option. Like, I bet at the beginning of the series that the Stars aren't that good. I famously bet after Game 1 of the series that the Stars aren't that good because I literally am 1 win away from making a few bucks on an Oilers in 5 bet when they were down 1-0 in the series. And now I'm hitting the cash out option on Stars aren't that good.
Okay. Fair.
I'm cashing out the take.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Stars won game 5.
Sean's so out on the Stars.
They're at home.
The Stars are
They
dead,
always say
man.
the 4th game's the hardest one to win. They're going to be desperate. Maybe they get a little something. Maybe they win
can.
Game 5.
Maybe I'm understating or under whatever, like the Hyman absence. Like, maybe that really will fuck this team up. But I just think that it's pretty obvious that the Oilers are significantly better than the Stars right now.
And
I'm
what
just
is-
deeply disappointed in Dallas right now,
Mm.
like way more than Carolina
I just
for some reason.
Yeah, I think we've run out of time on the depth will show up eventually conversation. Like I don't think it's happening.
And I repeat, what the Panthers are doing in the Eastern Conference is amazing. And the Panthers, should the teams meet in the Stanley Cup final, of course, could very well beat the Oilers and win back-to-back Stanley Cups. But since the Oilers stopped being assholes, and granted, the Panthers didn't have a stop being assholes part midway through the series, Oilers have lost 2 games. Yes, since that Jim Hiller challenge, Oilers have lost 2 games. One of them was they were 0.4 seconds away from overtime and did something really fucking stupid. And then one of them was they were 1 period away from winning a game by multiple goals, and they fucked around so badly. And I know that that's a couple of ifs, but it's literally only 2 ifs because they only lost 2 games. And this is a stretch in which the Panthers have had to live more like a normal hockey team. Like nobody is doing what the Oilers have been doing.
Yeah, that's all. I think that the Oilers are significantly better than the Dallas Stars right now. I think the Florida Panthers will beat the Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup final. I don't think it'll take 7 games. We'll have that conversation when we get there. But that doesn't matter as far as this series is concerned.
Yeah,
I just think that the Stars are I think the Stars are dead.
The conversation with the Panthers when they're like healthy and effective is so tough because you can take all like the projections that you want. The Panthers are so effective that they just erase what a team has looked like previous to
and
what
that's
they
kind of
play
my
like
thing
against
with
the Panthers.
the current state of the Oilers. Or people are like, oh, look at the Oilers. Their depth is showing up. They're playing good defensively. I'm like, yeah, that's not that. If you're asking me like that's what the Panthers do. And if you're asking me which one of these teams is going to do that better in the Cup final, I think it's going to be the Florida Panthers. So it's almost weird that like the strengths of the Oilers right now are the reason that I think, not why I think they're going to lose, but it's like it's kind of like with the Hurricanes. You see, like they're good, they have their system, but when you play a team that does that lives and breathes that, it's going to be hard to match up with them.
Okay. Through 8 conference final games, every game has been decided by 3 or more goals. 5-2 Panthers, 6-3 Stars, 5-0 Panthers, 3-0 Oilers, 6-2 Panthers, 6-1 Oilers, 3-0 Hurricanes, 4-1 Oilers. Does this round and do these conference finals stink? I have a hot take on this.
I
think there's a resounding lack of drama, and that's really disappointing. The games, game to game, have been somewhat interesting. Like I'm not gonna say that I'm like, oh, that fucking sucked. But like based off of the expectations that were set maybe in the first round, and maybe it's unfair to like the level of drama and insanity that we got in the first round, I am disappointed that these series haven't been closer, both in the series and in the game to game.
I thought that last night was an incredible
Great game.
And I sometimes don't know whether it's just that
Not great.
my anxiety is at such a high. I tell myself this must be a great game for people, and I'm a fan of one of the teams, so maybe that's what it is. But my anxiety is high watching any postseason game between any 2 teams. So I would have a hard, like, even if these games did stink, and maybe they all do because I read you the scores, they've all been like, there's
Last
only a
night's game-
couple of them that you're like, it wasn't as much of a blowout as it looked like.
Right, a couple empty netters changed the final score. Like essentially a spiritual 1-1 game last night.
Spiritual 1-1 game,
One
but
goal game.
I'll play devil's advocate. If you're not a fan of either of those teams, there was a sense in the third period of like,
This is
maybe Dallas will score because there's no hockey gods, but Dallas hasn't had the puck. They're down a goal. They need to tie the game, and they are hemmed in for the entire period.
So that goes back to the conversation that we were having about the Carolina Hurricanes when people were saying that they were boring. It's not that the games are boring. It's that you know that one of these teams is clearly better than the other based off of how the game is going. So you're really not worried about what's going to happen, or you're really not on edge about what's happening.
I mean, you and certainly Sean has carried a resignation throughout this round where you're like, cool, and tell me if I'm putting words in your mouth, Sean, where you're like, yeah, that was a fun thing when that guy scored that goal. Could have told you his team was going to win, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, especially I have been all over. I mean, I've been all over the Canes being boring since the first round of the playoffs.
You did pioneer this.
I did. I think, especially, I think these are two very different 3-1 series. I think like the Oilers Stars has been far less boring to me than the Canes Panthers series. But yeah, I mean, and it took me longer to get there with the Oilers Stars, but it's for a few days now at least has felt inevitable as to what we are getting in the next round. And ultimately, that's my thing with like this round being boring or whatever. Like ultimately, it's a means to the end. We are doing all this for the Stanley Cup. So like, if we get the two best teams in the Stanley Cup and that's a good series, I don't really give a shit if the conference finals were boring.
And your end game is you want this to be a rematch. You want to see Oilers Panthers again.
I mean, at this point, it is what it is. That wasn't even like I said before this round that I wanted to see the Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup. And I don't know how entertaining it would have been. But like now
I think you do.
Well, yeah, fair enough. I mean, if it had been against the Oilers, like I don't know how that could have been an insane series, I guess. But yeah, I mean, we're getting a rematch, but like I said a few minutes ago, I think there's a very good chance in my mind
with the
that this series is shorter than last year's.
Game 1 of the Western Conference Final was last night the most entertaining or the most interesting. Just because I feel like it might have been because it was a close game. Dallas played well for the first period, and it just felt like the stakes were the highest because, again, Dallas wins that game, and you're like, holy shit, how is this series
and
tied?
there's things happening in this series. Like the Hyman injury, obviously not good, but made it like the Rupe Hintz of it all.
Yeah.
Like the fact that
DeBoer crying a lot.
Sure. The fact that there's like you're waiting kind of for like the depth of the Stars to show up eventually. Like I don't think there was any of that energy in the Kane series.
Yes,
like it very much was like after Game 3 especially, that series is over.
Yeah, the most interesting thing was that the Panthers went to Dairy Queen.
Yeah, literally,
Right.
like exactly.
And like what are you watching for in those games? Quite frankly, I watch those games to see the Panthers do some cool Panthers shit because I enjoy watching Brad Marchand.
Like at this point, I'm like, are they going to kill Sebastian Aho?
Right.
Not that I want to see that, but like I want to.
Or
see
like,
that.
how does Dmitry Orlov get walked this time?
How does he fuck up
Whereas
again?
in this series, you enter the game, you spend the day saying, "Is this guy playing?" This will have huge ramification.
Yeah.
Like, is Rope Hintz going to play? Is Matthias Ekholm going to play? Once the game starts, I mean, I spent long periods of that game very, very worried. Going into the third period, where I know that Zach Hyman is out, great, fucking terrified about that. Where was Evander Kane at the end? What's going to happen in this third period where they're holding a 2-1 lead and Dallas is one goal away from forcing overtime and having a game where they could end up, as Pete said, tying the series and leaving us all saying, even if we don't know how it got here, this is a 2-2 series. I had every scenario running through my mind. To borrow a phrase from Pete, I'm watching the Panthers and the Hurricanes looking at the monkey with the cymbals type of thing. Like, it's just, it ain't that deep in the Eastern Conference Final. And there is, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm rooting for one of the teams, but like, I'm freaking out as I'm watching these Western Conference Final games.
I mean, as a truly neutral observer, I've developed a lot of frustration watching Carolina and Dallas being like, will you fucking do something? Because on both sides.
Uh,
You texted last night and said, how the fuck are they here?
Yeah.
The Dallas one is so much
Like,
more
or why are
frustrating
they
to me
here?
because the Hurricanes thing makes sense to me. It is like they are such a system-dependent team. You get the wrong matchup, blah, blah, blah.
Florida's fucking
And Florida's
choke you out.
been in the Stanley Cup 2 straight times. They're the best team in hockey. But like the Stars, I get that the Oilers figured out how to play defense, and I get that Stuart Skinner is playing out of his mind right now. But like, come the fuck on, dude. Somebody literally do a goddamn thing. Mikko Rantanen, somebody please.
3 5-on-5 goals in 4 games for a team that finished the regular season 3rd in scoring, and then like that was without Mikko Rantanen for most of the year. That is unacceptable.
Like,
this series should be closer.
This
and I'm
was
so disappointed.
far
in
less
Dallas.
predictable than the Eastern Conference to me, and it's annoying.
Okay, Sean, for this next topic, I sent you a picture that our dear friend Gene Principe took. Let's discuss. That was a good conversation, though, about like does this round stink? I say no.
I say I'm disappointed in it, but I'm not. I don't think it stinks. Like I sent a tweet last night, and I was like, all 8 games have been decided by 3+ goals. Refund, please. And then I deleted it because like I don't want the energy of somebody who just complains about having hockey on and being like a little disappointed by it. But like, I'm happy to be watching these games. I wish that there was more drama in the conference final.
I don't say this to judge your other tweets, but I don't think that was a deletable tweet. I think that was a totally non-acidic, non-upset. Like if somebody was upset by that and thought that you were complaining too much, they're way less fun than you are. Let's talk Boston Bruins in their coaching search, because we saw yesterday there were reports that it was down seemingly to Jay Woodcroft and Marco Sturm. Late on Wednesday evening, our friend Cam Robinson tweets that it looks like Marco Sturm is going to be the next head coach of the Boston Bruins. There's wiggle room there in that it can be interpreted as eventually Marco Sturm will be named head coach of the Boston Bruins. Elliot Friedman reported this morning, late last night, that essentially things are looking very good for Marco Sturm to become the next head coach of the Bruins, but that he is due in Boston on Friday to meet with the team again. So it seems it's not official. It seems it's not definite, but the way I funnel that all in and I press enter and the calculator tells me Marco Sturm's probably the next head coach of the Bruins.
Probably. More likely than not.
We don't know. More likely than not. I would be surprised if it were Woodcroft at this point, but we don't know because it hasn't happened yet, and they're still due to have, I don't know what this meeting is, whether it's another interview or whatever, but former Bruin, Winter Classic great, famous German, Ontario Reign head coach, Marco Sturm, could be your next head coach of the Bruins.
Did the Bruins win the Joe Thornton trade?
Did they? He was the centerpiece with that. I would honestly say that Brad Stewart was the centerpiece, but Marco Sturm, a first-round pick, I want to say 1996 of the Sharks. Good player, just like a 20-goal guy. He'd get you 20. Great memory I have was when the Bruins dumped him to L.A. Peter Chiarelli told us that the press release said future considerations. Peter Chiarelli said, I know it says future considerations, but it's nothing. So, any questions? And the great, now late Mike Loftus was like, you can trade a guy for nothing? And he was like, yeah, kind of. He was like, they don't have to give you, like, the CBA lets you do that. And eventually Chiarelli was like, it was kind of the, I think you should leave, like, oh yeah, it was like a hit and run thing. And then like the more questions he gets asked about it, he's like, if you keep asking me about this, I'm going to, like, I think Chiarelli realizing like, fuck, like, am I not allowed to say that I just did a trade for nothing?
That's what the Vegas Golden Knights did with Marc-Andre Fleury. They traded him for like future considerations. Then they named a player later and then like gave him back later. So it was literally for nothing.
Man.
Hell yeah.
It's
salary cap's a hell of a drug, isn't it?
It's crazy. I did ask around a little bit about like, because I don't know anything about Marco Sturm as a head coach, and I'm not going to pretend to, but I've asked about it, and from all accounts, from the people that I've asked, he is beloved with his players.
That would not surprise me. I knew him a little when he was in Boston, and he was the nicest, friendliest guy. I don't know if that means that he's a like players coach per se. I think we need to do maybe a little more digging there or get some people in the know, but would not surprise me at all that anybody who works with him thinks that he's the salt of the earth, because I only covered him for half a year before he was traded for nothing, but very, very nice guy. Hockey players are very, very nice guys, though. So
can I ask you this? Yeah. I've seen a lot of complaints amongst the Bruins fandom that like, oh, boys club, going promoting within the family or whatever, like staying within the organization, their guys. Does this have that stink to you? Because it really doesn't to me.
No, I think that he has a Bruins connection, but I think that it is like kind of like the Patriots hiring Mike Vrabel. Vrabel has more bona fides at this point, but
He's been elsewhere.
He's from his own coaching tree.
Right.
This isn't an assistant on Claude Julien's staff. He's a guy who played for Claude Julien, but it's not like you're bringing back one of his assistants. It's not that to me. I think that if this were Jay Leach, I would say absolutely. But the biggest thing it tells me is that they were having a hard time finding a head coach, like a bulletproof candidate. Instead, they're getting a first-time NHL head coach, which I think is fine because I don't think the Bruins are going to be great the next few years anyway. Sean, did you show the picture? Do we have a picture of Marco Sturm for people who don't know what he looks like? There's a picture of Marco. Look at him. What a nice guy.
That's some German royalty right there.
That is a picture taken by Gene Principe of Marco Sturm and the great young Leon Draisaitl. Look how perfectly that tie falls on Leon. That is just about to hit the top of the pan. That you cannot get a more perfect tie length than that.
Well, length, yes. He needs to get the tail tucked back in.
Yeah, a little sloppy there, but he looks like a young man.
It's crazy. Leon doesn't strike me as somebody who was ever young. I feel like he's had his beard and his look forever.
He's got some baby fat on him there.
Yeah, it was a young boy.
Someone who is new to Leon Draisaitl, not new anymore, said that they recently watched a video called like Leon Draisaitl being grumpy, and it was like 7 minutes long.
I'm surprised it was that short.
And I was like, I'm gonna have to check this out. I guarantee I have seen every part of it. Have sent it to Pete over the years. I don't mind this hire. I don't hate this hire. I think that it's like it's a mix between like Gerard Mayo hire in that it's a first time, like, do we know, like, what's this guy actually going to be? We both have said we don't really know what he is as a coach. And some of the Mike Vrabel where it's, of course, Bruins ties, but got outside, saw the world, studied abroad.
I'm a little disappointed based off my expectations heading into the offseason with the coaching carousel, the names that were out there. Like I would have liked an established name, like a sexy name, like a Mike Sullivan, or even a Joel Quenneville would have been exciting here in Boston, or like a sexier new name like David Carl. Like one of those guys would really probably move the needle more than Marco Sturm. But like at the same time, I'm going to give the guy a chance. If he ends up being the hire, I'm going to give him a chance to prove that he's a good head coach. Like Marty St. Louis was plucked off the street to coach the Montreal Canadiens and has turned out to be an awesome coach for them. So who am I to be like, oh, this guy can't coach. He's never coached in the NHL before. Not the right guy for the job. I'm going to give him a chance. People seem to like him. And I don't think it's the Bruins are hiring their like one of their former players. This isn't hiring Patrice Bergeron.
We haven't talked about Marco Sturm in
he's not
1,000 years, and we talk about the Bruins literally every day on
He's
the show.
not hanging around the building waiting to get given an opportunity to coach this team. So, and from what I've heard, they have interviewed a lot of people. They've interviewed a lot of people for this job.
Which is unlike them, so at least they're doing that. Someone in the chat says, it's Sturm, not Sturm. I was waiting for someone to say that. No, it's Sturm.
We get to
German.
We get to pronounce words however we want to.
I mean, I guess you technically can. That's not really how like the German alphabet works. Like if it was Sturm, there would be a CH in there.
Sean, have you been in the chat lately?
Well, no, but yes, I have. People are saying that, telling me they're saying,
I just
fuck you
saw happy birthday, Sean. Fuck you.
That was because he said that I sound like a guy who gets chased out of house parties, which is not true. I don't get invited to house parties. And then someone says,
I'd invite you to a house party for sure.
I appreciate it. I actually would be a good time at a house
It's
party.
for sure, not sure.
But, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
So it's I say Sturm because I talked to a German guy who knew him.
It's
called him
fun,
Marco
but like,
Sturm, and I've had that in my head since.
like, yeah, I mean, it is just STURM, so it would just be Sturm, but like.
There is a lot of those where it's like, how far are you going to go? Like, if we want to be real, Chara's last name is Hara.
Yeah.
Like, are we gonna do that?
And I mean, there's also plenty of guys like Mikal Granlund. He's said that he doesn't care if people say Michael, but that's not.
Oh,
Mikal's
Mikal
so
is
much better.
such a better name
Yeah.
than Michael.
I agree, but I understand. It's probably a common story amongst foreigners who just get tired of Americans butchering their shit and they're just like fucking whatever. I mean, I do that with my last name. People mispronounce my last. People love saying
I think
Deepaz.
it's David
Paz.
Pastrnak, right?
Oh, it's Pasternak.
Pasternak.
I remember the first day. I remember it was in Nashville at a rookie fucking camp thing. It was around the same time I told David Pasternak famously that he should wear 88, and he was like, I'm gonna think about that. Someone said, like, wait, how do you say your name? Is it Pasternak? Is it Pasternak? And he was like, Pasternak. And someone was like, so then what do your friends call you? Pasta. And I was like, I remember tweeting, like, his name is like Pasternak, as in pasta. That's kind of fun. And now, like, that's
Now we
fun.
have commercials about it. And
Pasta
they're bad
deserves
commercials.
Pepsi.
That's the stupidest commercial.
No. Can we do stupid commercial rankings?
Yeah, which one are we talking about? Because there's one that is really burning my grundle these playoffs.
I'm going to guess because is it the Anna Faris one?
No.
Okay.
That one's a little newer, isn't it? I feel like I haven't seen that.
This one is a little bit older.
Is it the what is her name? Jennifer Coolidge?
No, that one does suck too.
She, by the way,
He's inducted in. He was accepted into the Hall of Fame.
thanks Wayne or Jet Ski, whatever. By the way, she's in
Dwayne
the
Jetski?
Minecraft movie.
Yeah.
Exact same character.
Huh.
All
Well,
she can do is be
I
stupid.
mean, she's always like a ditzy,
yeah,
like
she
mom.
plays the same character in basically.
She is, spoilers, she like dates a villager from Minecraft who famously don't speak English. They just make noises.
Love is love,
Man.
Sean. This sounds like more of a
Sure.
Pete take.
You know who
Yeah.
I hate? The woman in the Geico commercial who throws the body check on the dummy.
Oh, that is a good.
and then,
Yeah.
And then they end the commercial with like, "How's your elbow? It's killing me."
Yeah, no, that is
this commercial fucking sucks.
Because that one also if you do like TNTdrama.com, that's how I watch the live games. Every single time you open up the stream, that commercial plays. So every single TNT game I have watched, that has been the first thing I see. I
How's
wholeheartedly
your
agree
elbow?
with you.
It's killing me.
Eric Ripperson says, LOL, DJ told Pasta to wear 88. When Pasternak's on the show, we will address this and try to get to the bottom of this. It's not a long story, but it's rich in history. So we'll figure that out, but that will be another time. Mine for me is ESPN, and this will only be an American problem. # American probs is we support the troops.
It's high on our
is
list of problems right now.
ESPN using Houdini by Dua Lipa as their like presenting song for all playoff stuff drives me crazy. Every time they go to commercial, they're playing this random Dua Lipa song. It's got nothing to do with nothing.
Doesn't even register for me to be honest. Like not
You
even
said
like
that last night. I had no idea what that meant.
I just
least
like
attentive people.
yeah. Well, I pay attention to the as soon as they start being like as soon as they're being like.
John's, I pay attention to the game.
Well, no,
Yeah.
not even
David.
I only care about the hockey. It's just like as soon as I start hearing the 4:15 left in the second period, well, I'm done. As soon as they start
Well-
going towards commercial, I stop listening.
You say they play this when they send to commercial?
Yeah.
So that probably explains why I've never noticed. Because
As soon as they're starting to wrap it up, you go.
No, because they've inevitably done something during the ESPN intermission report that I'm thinking about for the rest of the
Yeah,
night
yeah.
until the hockey starts again, where I'm just like, this is the stupidest fucking thing
So
I've
you're
ever seen in
already
my
mad.
life.
You're too
Yeah.
mad. It's like when you miss
See,
it.
you're
Like the
hearing
first
that.
time I saw Anchorman in theaters, I was like, I missed half the jokes. I was too busy laughing at the previous joke. I didn't hear any of the jokes. I was laughing too hard. Pete is so mad punching the wall that he cannot hear
Yeah.
Houdini by Dua Lipa.
I do-
I will say, I think TJ Oshie did a pretty good job for his first stint on the ESPN
I agree.
desk.
I agree.
I definitely think they could serve. Shouldn't be a 3-person desk. I think they need more voices.
I say
and
that it could be a 3-person desk.
Well,
with 3 different people.
Yeah, I was gonna say assuming that you're keeping the starting 3, I think they are served well by having more people to spread the wealth. So you don't have any of them talking as much as they have to.
I think Pronger was fine. I think Oshie was really good for his first time.
Yeah. Honestly, I was kind of surprised by this, but I thought that like Oshie and Subban had a little something.
Definitely.
Subban was like really.
They were like locking eyes.
Subban was really trying to be like Oshie, let's do this.
Yeah, and
I agree.
I think even Mess has gotten better. Like I think Mess has loosened up a decent amount.
You've lost
You know
me.
what I like Messier is after the game when Scott Van Pelt is wearing his suit jacket wrong and does those hits
How does
to
he wear
open he's seated and has his
Oh, is it buttoned?
button and the tie is poking through and it's this like weird, bad, dumb.
Gentlemen, fellas, any suit jacket wearers.
See,
Top
Pete was
button,
shaking his head.
top button
Sean
always,
knows.
middle button sometimes,
yeah.
bottom button never.
Never.
I
And
know.
unbutton every time you
Never.
sit down.
I know.
But no. I was saying like you were shaking your head to.
'Cause I've heard this a million times with a million different
I
people.
didn't know that was like a thing for
It's
SVP,
a tough look.
but yeah, that's like literally day one orientation at my high school because I went to a private high school. We had to wear suit jackets. That was the first thing our principal got up on stage and told us how to wear a suit jacket, and I've never forgotten.
And I know Pete, like you think like we're getting in the weeds and getting like that's if your job is to be on TV, there are like certain things that you have to know. And I don't know, maybe like ESPN has a new rule where they're like, you got to wear your jacket wrong. Scott Van Pelt's the best. What I was saying is those hits right after the game, they'll have Mark Messier on to talk about the game with Scott Van Pelt. That's cool. Like, and I'm like, okay, I just watched an Oilers game. Now Mark Messier is on SportsCenter talking about it. I can do that all fucking day.
He doesn't say anything.
I just feel like I've seen Mess loosen up. I feel like there were times earlier on where PK would make some kind of joke and Mess didn't know how to respond to it. And I feel like Mess has gotten better at rolling with PK's PK-ness. And
Yeah.
I could appreciate that.
Okay. So that is that. I did have one more thing, but I can't remember what it is. So I suppose I will begin thanking Owen for coming on the show and everybody who has checked out the show. Make sure you press subscribe. Make sure you go in the show notes if you
Sure.
want to get one of our What Chaos Zam Dog or What Mutt sweatshirts. Also got to get the slate, of course.
Yeah.
Sean, can you give me that? Sorry about that. Maybe that's what I was thinking. Panthers at Hurricanes, Game 5, Florida trying to punch their ticket. We haven't been doing much ticket punching talk this postseason, but the Panthers can punch. They can be the punchers tonight on TNT. It's at 8 p.m. Puck drop, probably 8:51.
You
Something
know what we
like
call
that.
this?
What's that?
You know what we call this? A puncher's chance.
Oh, I like
They've
that.
got a puncher's chance tonight. What do we think? Hurricanes?
I mean,
Make them sweat?
we've all said it. Get the fuck out of my face, Carolina. I'm done
No,
with you.
no.
Yes.
I did say this a little bit yesterday. I think it was misinterpreted by some angry fans. What I was saying was that the general air of a 3-0 series lead, when a team wins one game, you feel like, okay, you're wasting my time. And it's not tied directly to Carolina or anything. But like when a team wins the first game, when they're down 3-0, you're like, all right, we all know how this is going to go. Oh, we're extending this. Okay, let's fine. Then they win the second game, you go, And then they win the third game, you go, damn.
I mean,
Yeah, that would be true. I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm currently in the, we probably didn't need a fifth game of this.
Carolina's
but I
been-
can be proven wrong tonight.
Carolina's
let's
been
see it.
wasting my time for 3 straight rounds.
I
Jesus.
think that
And they've won 2 of them. They've just been so much better or so much worse than the teams they've been playing.
I'm
None of them
ruling
have been
out-
interesting.
I'm not ruling out either of these teams winning Game 5. And by either of these teams, I mean I'm not ruling out the Hurricanes or the Stars winning their Game 5 and keeping this thing going.
Can't rule it out. They're good teams. They got here, but I can't. I am so over what this series has been.
Panthers did go back to Dairy Queen yesterday. So
Yeah,
that could
and that's
be
the other thing.
Be a
All
seismic
signs
shift.
are pointing to the Panthers just getting the job done tonight. So let's just do it.
Okay. We will see. And if we get overtime, we haven't had overtime in a while.
Haven't had overtime in the conference finals.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, yesterday I was preparing all day for overtime. I was like, this is going to be a game that goes to overtime, and I'm going to be fucking losing it.
That's kind of how I felt about Game 4 for
I
Carolina.
feel like if we get overtime in Carolina, Florida, it's going to be like 3 overtime.
Yes, and it's going to be in like a 1-1 or 0-0 game.
Yeah.
It won't be
It's gonna
because the game has been
ugliest shit
interesting.
you've ever
so,
seen
yeah.
in your life. Very excited for that. If you have enjoyed the show, even if you haven't, you're still here for some reason, please amplify. Hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Very much appreciate that subscription. Trying to get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers that we're working with right now. Hammer that subscribe. Hammer the like button. It's the thumbs up symbol right below the video player. Also leave a comment. You can say whatever you want. You agree with some stuff that we said, disagree with some stuff that we said. Say somebody in the chat said Sean's a hater. I'm out.
Baby.
Well, before you out, leave a comment.
I saw that and I was
Music
like,
to my fucking
Sean
ears.
must be
Music to my fucking ears.
Ecstatic.
We lost Sean for the rest of the show. He's just like having a
Damn
little
straight.
birthday party.
Hate fuels me. Too much love is bad for you.
And if you're on audio, we love you too. So thank you for listening to us. If you've got some time, 5 stars, a little review, a little word of mouth. Tell your friends, tell your parents, tell your loved ones, tell your enemies. We'll take any of the ears and eyes that we can get because we love to be amplified.
Yes. Everyone is. Someone says, "Is this guerrilla marketing for Dairy Queen?" And Richard says, 100 Dairy Queen blizzards versus a gorilla. How many Dairy Queen blizzards do you think that you could take down?
In like one sitting?
One sitting. I think like
2, maybe 3.
I think like 2.
I don't even know.
That's a lot of ice cream.
I haven't had a Dairy
I haven't-
Queen. I don't know
me
if I've
neither.
even had one.
Blizzards rock. I mean,
don't know if I've had one either.
Wow,
Should we
really?
do blizzards for tomorrow's show?
Could. I mean, I'm never saying no.
I mean,
shit
I don't
like
know
that.
if we
Oh,
literally
if the Panthers,
could.
What do you mean?
Like we'd have to get we'd have to get blizzards at like 10 in the morning. I don't think Dairy Queen's open that early.
Dairy Queen's definitely open in the morning, right?
I'm gonna
Dairy
look-
Queen.
Well, Dairy Queen does serve food, so they might be
Right.
open at like 11. There's no way they're open that early though. What restaurant opens before 11 that doesn't serve breakfast?
Okay, so the
But Dairy Queen seems like it would want to be open for like the work lunch rush.
Dairy Queen opens Thursday at 12 noon.
Okay.
Yeah,
we could get them here during the
We
show.
could get the fresh.
Oh, I didn't even think
fresh
about you could get
blizzards.
delivered. Okay, I didn't consider that part.
Yeah.
Get them
Ah.
here during the show.
They've got like summer flavors I saw too. Blizzards fucking rock, dude.
If we get a Panthers win tonight, maybe we do blizzards in studio tomorrow.
Listen,
How would you do with that though? If like eating on the show and everything, you don't.
I would
well
do.
with your
I would do
people.
very poorly.
yeah, but there's no chewing.
Yeah,
It's
but
like-
there's still lip smacking.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a horse, maybe I don't feel like I make that much sound eating ice cream.
But think of
Very
anything.
soft food.
Think of like whatever it is that you fixate on. It's not because it's. I'm not saying like it's like a phobia, but it's like
it more or
kind
less
of like a
is.
phobia where.
It's
the-
irrational how much I cannot.
I mean,
stand
trust me,
it.
I am there.
And I'm not saying
I'm
that
right
as a
there with
judgment.
you.
I'm
I
just
fucking
saying like if you're not like even if you're not doing anything and you're eating, there's no way that his condition isn't going to act up.
And like for people who are like myself, like if they listen on audio, they're gonna want to burn this show to the
buddy,
ground.
I wear incredibly nice headphones listening to you guys all the time.
Yeah.
Any noises you make, I hear them
Yeah.
loud and clear. So I would definitely, I don't think I would enjoy it.
There is
you
either.
ever notice us making noises?
No, not normally. Like, I mean, you never eat on camera. I'm just saying, like, I can hear everything very closely. So if you were to be chewing in the mic, I would hear it.
There was an episode of 32 Thoughts this year where Elliot was eating something when the show was going on.
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to drive my car into the woods and light it on fire while I was in the driver's seat.
Respect.
So,
Oh no! Do we
Could've done that on
have
the side of the
no
street.
blizzards on stream tomorrow, I guess.
is
I think it'd be fine. I don't think you make that much noise. The problem is they would almost certainly be melted by the time they got here.
No way, because like those things are heavily
I guess that is
condensed. You're
that is-
supposed to turn them upside
That is
down.
a good point. But
that
I
shit
mean,
ain't melting.
it's like it's high 70s here right now. There's not one within like walking distance of us. It would be a little bit of a drive.
You guys are great at not having weird noises, says Stan.
Yeah,
which
I
is
would
rare
definitely-
for a podcast like this.
I would definitely notice if you guys made lots of weird noises.
all right. All done. If there's what?
You were like 30 seconds ago.
Oh, I was
Very
like, I
troubled.
saw a picture of, I saw an old picture of Zach Hyman after a surgery.
Oh boy.
And then someone clarified, like, this is an old picture. Don't post it then. All right. We'll talk to you tonight or tomorrow, whenever. Bye-bye.
We all silly like the mayor.